Hey guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University, and Kang the Conqueror, issue number 1. We've never had a Kang the Conqueror comic book before. I wonder what we could do with that. This is the comic book and a character who I always say Kang has a whole lot of potential, but no one's ever truly realized it. Look, I don't know if anybody out there is like, no, they were great Kang the Conqueror stories. I've never seen a Kang the Conqueror story that I've loved. Not by Simonson, not by Kirby, you know what I'm saying? Not by Lee, not by anybody who's ever written him before. Hasn't Hickman has gone after this guy also at some point, right? You figure of all people, Hickman would kill it with a Kang story. Hey man, there's been plenty of stories that he could do with this, plenty of stories that he can go plenty of places with, but yeah, you know, I walked into this comic book with so much trepidation, but like it's a number 1. There's never been a Kang comic book before that I can recall, at least. And I just thought, I'm going to hate this. I'm probably not going to do any reviews this week, so let me at least go and try and check this one out just for myself. Well, I'm making a video about it because it surprised the hell out of me. First, we're going to talk about the story, then we're going to talk about the art. But all of that's going to come after we talk about who made the comic book. So let's get started with that. Jackson Lansing and Colin Kelly are the writers. I like when you have 2 writers on a story. I'd love to see the behind the scenes, how they collaborated on this. But Carlos Magna doing the art. You gotta talk about that dude. Espen Grunditjern, always butcher that name, but I apologize. Anyway, he did the colors, and if Espen is in fact a guy. Anyway, VC's Joe Caramagna on letters, and Mike Del Mundo doing the cover art. Whole lot of freaking variant covers, man. Holy crap. For a cat? I guess like they really did it with Loki. Like with Loki, people went, oh my god. Look, I don't think the Loki TV show really did anything for Kang, except make people go, really? But somehow people are just so excited. Look, I've said for a long time that Kang could be, and should be the main big bad for the upcoming Marvel thing that they're doing, and it could work. It could work, especially when you started this new phase 4, phase 5, whatever, with Black Widow, and there's the whole time sequencing thing there. Yeah, I think that could work out really damn well. But whatever, it is what it is. Anyway, Loki, just that final episode to me was the worst episode. It was just this goof. I don't care how good of an actor he was, whatever. People say what they want. That's an opinion. For me, I just look at it as it was the goofiest freaking performance ever. Not really, but close enough. And just it is what it is. That being said, enough people were, wow about it, bonkers. So of course we were going to wind up getting at some point sooner or later, sooner rather than later, a Kang story. And I didn't think that this was going to be any good, and yet I'm shocked. A little bit beside myself with how good this was. This wasn't the greatest story ever. This wasn't even close to that, but it shocked me at how good this was. Kang is a character, mind you, who, let's face it, he's never really been successful at anything. And some people may say, oh, he's a bad guy. He's supposed to lose. I'm sorry, have you ever heard of Doctor Doom? Have you ever heard of Magneto? Have you ever heard of Galactus? Have you ever heard of some of the other characters out there who have won? Red Skull has won several times and kicked some serious ass. Major serious ass. He's one of the guys who succeeded in killing the bad guy. You know what I'm saying? I mean, there's been a lot of characters out there. Obadiah Stane. Let's go into him. Right? There's so many different characters out there, and that's just in Marvel, and that's just off the top of my head. Sorry. Magneto, all these guys. No. There's been plenty of times where bad guys have kicked the heroes' asses, right? And even though they lose at the end, they still had a great run. Annihilus, for crying out loud, a big stupid green bug with this cosmic control rod, across his neck. I mean, we want to say, like, on the outskirts of it, that's that's a stupid character. But we look at this character, it's like, no, dude, Annihilation was amazing. And he's had plenty of other stories besides Annihilation, but holy crap, right? So, no, you can absolutely have a bad guy who wins once in a while and kicks some ass, but no, not in this particular case, not with Kang. And they really emphasized on that, and that's one of the things that really got me, because I look at him like Kang, the most successful loser on the face of the freaking all of time, right? Kang, however, does have several things going for him. One of them is that, for the longest time, when they started actually making more and more rules for the Marvel Universe, they said that each timeline is actually a different dimension, different universe in and of itself, completely independent from everything else. Like there's been, if there's a main Earth timeline, 616, that any decision that results in an action that's different, there would be a branching timeline. However close or however completely divergent, however far, it would be somewhat divergent in some way, shape, or form. Even if they ran parallel, never the twain shall meet again once they've branched, right? Just like any branch of any tree. So, but Kang, he's one of those characters who actually has a specific time frame, and at the end of this comic book, we go to that time frame where with the not the living pharaoh, anyway, what you call it? Yeah, this knucklehead, the Ramatut. Yeah, very different from the monolith, the living pharaoh. Anyway, well, no havoc in this story. So we have what's his name? The Ramatut, right? There's a particular time frame where in the Fantastic Four comic books, this thing happened, and what's his name? Ben Grimm, the Thing, was made into like a slave, and he was like, this rowing thing, and just like it was a really weird thing. And then all of a sudden they had somebody else come back. I can't remember which one was first. I think Doctor Strange had a comic book, and they went back and they did something there. They couldn't affect it, but they did something there. They didn't. They were like, we can't change anything there. But then they did something with Moon Knight and Hawkeye and all that stuff, and with what do you call it, the West Coast Avengers comic book, right? And I think there was an Avengers comic book that went back during that time also. There's been several comic books that have gone back to that particular point. I always thought to myself, somebody should do something with that particular timeline, that particular frame. That almost seems like it's a point zero for so many things, right? It's weird because it's not the beginning of the timeline. Anyway, that just, it is what it is. With this particular comic book, you have Kang and you have a story being told. Look, one of the problems that some people have with comic books is that it's mostly plot driven and not character driven. And plot driven stories usually don't go anywhere, right? And there's a reason for that. A character driven story is always going to be more successful than any plot driven story ever at any time. But you can't do too much character growth, because at the end of the day, character driven, because how much character improvement can you do? And you don't want to see character regression, right? But when you've never really told a Kang story before, you can do that. You can make the story mostly built on here's a plot, but now, boom, it's the character who's going to really try. And we've got the origin of Kang coming out. We've had several different kinds of origins of Kang before, but nothing really in depth. Here, I don't claim to know the Kang character better than anybody else. That's not who I am. All right, but I don't. He's been Nathaniel Richards, but he's not Nathaniel Richards. We don't know if it's the same Nathaniel Richards, right? We don't understand how that works. But there's also been the idea that he's in some way, shape, or form related to, or possibly related to, somehow closely affiliated with Doctor Doom. We get a little bit of both of that in this, and that's fantastic. Look, to me, I've always thought to myself, you got to get somebody great, or maybe in this case, two people great. Who knows? Maybe two good people become great. I don't know. How's this collaboration going to work? But you have the potential to be able to say, look at the two smartest characters in the Earth universe, right? Dr. Doom, Reed Richards. What if at some point down the road, 30th, 31st century, these two, their genetic trees cross? Right? How sick would that be? How powerful would that kid be? Well, in this particular case, it's Kang, and Kang sucks. Kang sucks. All right? I don't remember ever there being a story where people have been like, oh my God. No, it's always some crazy off-the-wall goofy crap, But there's a chance. If we're going to be changing things, if we're going to be rushing things, if the learning curve is going to be, seriously brought down to like, a closer point, like bending curving space so it could bend time, right? Nice little inverse there. Then there's a chance that this could actually be a really fantastic story. And so far, it's all gears going forward, right? This really has the makings of what could turn out to be a good story, a fantastic story. Middle's got to be good, got to stick the ending, but for right now, we are off to a solid, good start. I like the way that this is going. The idea that Kang wears that mask, it's a cool mask. I want to say stupid mask. It's not. It's a totally cool mask. One of the reasons why people keep gravitating towards Kang is because the costume does look pretty cool. You got to admit, right? Mask thing, and there's no lizard underneath in this particular case. So why the two lines though that go over top of his eyes? Why? Well, in this particular one, we have an answer. Is it the answer? Maybe. But this is a Kang that went to a different timeline because of another Kang. And we don't know if that's the superior Kang or not, because now we have to wonder about the superiority of the individual Kangs, right? Because the superior Loki, right? So I look at this and I just say, here's a reason why he has those lines there. And I liked it. I did. Him doing the thing that his senior Kang said, don't ever do this, his teacher Kang. I liked it. I like this a lot. Now, this is going to be a very different Kang, because there's a Kang who is learning from another Kang and has to go through his own process after he was taken away by another Kang. This was really just Kang who showed up and said, oh, wow, look, here's the library of Dr. Doom, and oh, look, here's his time machine, right? That's what originally happened with Kang. But in this case, before he even finds the time machine, boom, the senior Kang comes along and says, why don't you come with me? I'm going to shorten the amount of time, right, that it's going to take for you to become great. But Kang's never been great. And the proof is in the pudding, because young Kang says, you've never been great. There's never been anything great about you. You failed. All you're doing is showing me your failures. You're a freaking failure, right? Maybe we're going to see some things that he didn't fail at. Maybe this Kang can learn from the failures of the senior Kang. Maybe this could be the first really good Kang story. I'm hoping so. Now, let's talk a little bit about this art. Who the hell is Carlos Magnos? Oh, wait, that's Charlemagne. Ain't that funny? That makes sense. Charlemagne the Great. Carlos Magno is freaking amazing. This cat is off the chain crazy with the art that he puts out. I'm looking at this, and the very first page that I went to, I thought, well, this is kind of busy. I don't think we really need all of this, artwork, like all these things in the background. But I'm looking at the background, I'm just like, it's not really that busy. Now, mind you, a lot of this was off-putting because Mike Del Mundo did the cover. Mike Del Mundo likes to do all of the work there, so the penciling, the inking, and the colors. I have a lot of respect for Mike Del Mundo, but sometimes I feel he gets a little bit too hung up on himself. And it's just like, oh, people like this? Well, I'll give them more of this. And not just more of it, like, here's more pages of it. No, I'm going to Del Mundo this Del Mundo. It's like, maybe slow your roll, bud, because it's a bit much, right? Sometimes it looks like sloppy sidewalk chalk drawings, right? That I would see outside in the summertime. Sometimes that's exactly what he looks like. Sometimes his work looks as generic as Phil Noto's. I know it sounds rude. Look, I said what I said, and I mean it. This is no slight on the man, on any of them, right? On either of them, Noto or Del Mundo. This is not a slight on them. It's an observation on my part. Sometimes their work can look great. Sometimes it can look like sidewalk art, In this particular case, I see Del Mundo's cover and I'm really turned off by it. I really almost did. There's so many reasons why I didn't want to pick up this comic book, man. And I'm glad that I ignored all of them. But I see that art and I'm just like, I can't open this up and it be that work, right? And I really thought that's what it was going to be. I didn't know if Del Mundo was going to be doing the interior art or not. But I looked at it, when you see a cover, you think that's what I'm going to see inside. It's instinctual. It's one of the reasons why they always make sure to show Alex Ross art in the front covers as much as they possibly can. Art Germ, right? All the great comic book cover artists, they nail those things to the front covers, right? Because they're thinking they're going to open up, and then you open it up and you look inside, and it's like, well, this is garbage. you know in this case, the cover did not do the interior artwork justice, and that's a rare thing. There are very few and far between times when I have said such a thing. In this particular case, I'm saying it again, and I mean it. The interior art far superior than that cover art. That it's not meant to be a slight on Del Mundo. It is meant to be a praise of Charlemagne the Great on here, Carlos Magno. Carlos has done several different works before, and I've enjoyed them, but nothing quite as memorable as this to me. Of course, this is boom right in the front. Anytime I hear Carlos Magno's name again, I'm going to remember this comic book, because wow, the background details, shades of the greats of old, right? Just the idea that nothing is wasted, no bit of the background is wasted. Just boom, filled with something, and not too much. It's not overbearing. Everything has meaning in the art. The first 2 pages are separated by the title page. But aside from the title page, the first page is Kang. And I mean, the details in the fabric, the weave, and that's not just on one page. That's every time you see this character, you see the weave in it. It's not just some green cloth that's thrown over like Kirby used to do, No disrespect to the man, but facts are facts. And in this particular case, Kirby just kind of said, here's some lines, color that green, and then moved on. You know what I'm saying? In this case, Carlos Magnos is like, no, I'm going to do a nice weave. I'm going to crochet this together. It literally looks like somebody took the time and crocheted a nice quilt of his, green outer garment with the shoulders. I looked at this and you got to mentally step back from something like that. This is so damn impressive, this art. And Kang is facing a certain way. You go to the next page, the next actual page, and here's young Kang, we imagine, facing the exact opposite direction. Is he in the same pose? No. But he's looking in approximately the same direction. There's more energy to him, as opposed to sitting back and, There's more energy to this one, like, I've got something to prove. This one's, I'm already the conqueror. And I mean, he sucks, but that's what's in his mind. And I love that you can see that. You can read that just by looking at the images. They're both facing the opposite direction. Will they ever line up? Well, for a short time in the comic book, but did they ever really? It looks like they're divergent, because that's what they're going to do. They're going to have divergent lives for some reason or another. We get some of that in here, it would appear. But again, you look at the art, and Grunitjern, man, you gotta give this man, this person credit. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if that's a male name or not. Espen. Sorry. Carlos is obviously a male name. To me at least. Anyway, I look at the colors and I'm just like, dude, this is a really great team up, right? Grunitjern has done a great job. Every time that I see this artist's colors, I look at this and I'm just like, hot damn, this is good. This is really good. In this case, I don't know if Grunitjern and Magnos, perfectly, are just made for each other in their styles or not, but it looks like it here. It's fantastic. There are things that you can see. Doesn't look like they were drawn. Maybe they were, but the colors are on there so perfectly that they look just naturally. When you're doing holographic imagery, you don't really you need to see layers. You need to know that they're layers, but not be able to see the layers. If you think about Iron Man's, the blue technology and whatnot, or anytime that you've seen the Emperor or Darth Vader or somebody show up in the blue holograms and whatnot, right? That's the idea. Holograms have to be blue for some reason. Anyway, anytime that you see something like that, you see that there are layers, but you don't see their layers. You more instinctively know that there are layers. You can spot where in general the layers are. You'd have to get up close and personal to see exactly where, like okay, this looks like it's two hands next to each other. You can really see it there. You can see how far. But here, you may not know the depth of how far my hands are, but you know that they're not touching, right? You know that there are at least two layers. Maybe they are touching, but the idea is that you can see that there are two hands. And that's the idea that you get here when you look at this, oh my God, orange and different shades of orange holographic technology. A little bit of blue too. It just looks so natural. Seeing these two artists, the penciler and the inker collide like this, it's a work of art. The expressions on here, the face, like the faces, that you could see exactly where they're looking. If they're looking at something, you could see what they're looking at. If you can't see what they're looking at, you can imagine what they're looking at from the way that the eyes are. So simple and yet so intricate. The art is what really, really got me on this comic book. It made me say, read the story, because it's that much longer that my eyes will be able to linger on every incredible page in this comic book. I've said very scarcely before that these two people are great together. I'm telling you right now, Magnus and Grunitjern, they should be paired a lot more often, because these two, they just have this synergy that, damn, it's good. It's really good. Guys, I'm going to highly recommend grabbing this comic book. All right, comic book store is open. You shoot over there and you grab that comic book with the quickness, because this is good. You're getting new characters being introduced in here. Are they going to matter? Or are they not? This Adi character. I'm saying that with an Arabic term, Adi. Anyway, Adi. There's already an Adi. You know what I'm saying? So that was a weird thing, but I guess you can have multiple Adi. I guess if this character isn't going to go anywhere, isn't going to mean anything, then whatever. But at least give this person a different, or close soon a last name. Give some kind of discernible thing who this love interest is, because I looked at this. I'm like, what? Who? And I looked up. There's already an Eddie. That's not the person. That's a dude. That's a chick. Hey. So I don't know if the character is going to matter. If the character is going to matter, change the name. Do something with it, like add to the name, something, right? Don't do a WWE. Oh, this is Riddle. Isn't it Matt Riddle? No, it's just Riddle. Right? Stop. People have names. People have sometimes long names. Anyway, I really like this comic book a lot, and I have to recommend this comic book. I don't know if the other issues are going to be good. I have no idea, no way of knowing. But if the art stays the way it is, that alone would be a good reason to get this comic book. And that's just facts. Facts on the figure. And I want to see more of these two actually doing their own covers as well. Hopefully they don't get too, I can make a lot of money doing cover. If you have all the best artists doing cover work, who are you going to have to do the interior work anymore, right? So I hope that they're getting paid enough to do some of these other pages too. But for the love of God, man, these guys are just fantastic. These people are amazing at this interior work, and it blew me away. And the story itself, right now, so far, it's good. It's pretty damn solid, and I'm definitely looking forward to what happens next. I'm a little. There's a little trepidation. I'm worried that maybe the next issues aren't going to be as good. They're going to go down in quality, and maybe the ending is just going to, say because that's how much this comic book, this first appearance, surprised me and how good it was. Anyway, guys, I'm out. Like the video, watch an ad, and I will talk to you guys later. Professor Bill, Comic Book University. Class dismissed.